Simeon Rice is announcing the pick with the 84th selection in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have selected Jacob Parrish,
There you
cornerback
go.
out of Kansas State. So the Bucs double down on cornerback, Evan. They do go with a second cornerback here in Jacob Parrish. Real quick, to give my thoughts on Jacob Parrish here, let me see if I can find him on the board. I did have him on the Buccaneers option, so I finally got one, thankfully. But
Well,
Jacob,
you had him Benjamin Morrison as well.
that's true. That's true. I did have Benjamin Morrison as well. So here's the thing with Jacob Parrish: one interception last year, played a lot of snaps at outside corner, 470 outside snaps, 91 snaps in the slot, 73 at the defensive line, 44 in the box, and 4 deep. A 76.9 coverage grade, 71.4 run defense grade, allowed a 55.6 completion percentage when targeted, a 77.4 zone coverage grade. Evan, the Bucs go ahead and get themselves another cornerback here at 5'10", 190 pounds. Here is from Pro Football Focus. Parrish has the agility, fluidity, and recovery speed to thrive as a nickel defender in the NFL. As long as he remains a reliable tackler, he has the potential to be a starting nickel and an important role player in man coverage. Now, the Bucs obviously do tend to play a lot more zone than man, but I don't mind that the Bucs doubled down here on corner. Now, there's still a lot of edge guys that I would have preferred. Maybe they get an edge rusher in round number 4. That certainly could be a possibility. They could also go linebacker in round number 4. We're going to have to wait and see. But your thoughts on Jacob Parrish here? The Bucs doubling down at cornerback as well.
Yeah, something that I kind of thought was a possibility for the Bucks to double down at corner. They needed some depth there. Obviously, depth was something that was an issue, last year for the team. Once Jamel Dean went down, Zyon McCollum missed a little bit. So I think adding Benjamin Morrison already, and then obviously drafting Jacob Parrish there makes sense. Obviously, a guy who I think could play the slot. So could very well be the team starting nickel from day one. And I mean, look, you're drafting a starting caliber guy on in the third round. I think you take that all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I really and Noel Williams goes to the next pick as well, a guy who the Bucks might have been interested in at some point. But again, Parrish, he's going to be your starting, or at least competing, at minimum, competing for your starting nickel spot. I think that this is also a sign that the Bucks are going to want to play um, Tyke Smith more at full time safety, which you can agree with it, you can disagree with it. Myself personally, I like Tyke Smith at nickel cornerback, but I'm not the head coach of this football team. Now, I still believe that there are needs at edge, but we heard Jason Light say, hey, I like our edge depth. At linebacker, they did bring in Anthony Walker Jr. They do have Servassier Dennis there as well. The Bucks are obviously saying, dude, we do not want to see our cornerback room get absolutely decimated by injuries again this upcoming season, correct?
Yes, yeah. I mean, look, I mean, there were times that, with all due respect to those players, they had to play Josh Hayes, they had to play Tyreek Thunderberg. Not really an ideal situation, right? So I think they wanted to make sure that their depth was taken care of, and I think that is also something that led to this pick.
Yeah, so overall, if he does end up being your starting nickel, it's going to be something worth paying attention to. But more depth at cornerback is not a bad thing. Okay, would I have necessarily doubled down at cornerback? Maybe not, but it also they're two different corners. I think is important to note. Benjamin Morrison is going to be your third outside corner. Jacob Parrish is going to be competing with likely Christian Izien at this point, probably
Mhm.
for your starting nickel spot. So that's the big difference there, right? I would have maybe been more comfortable if they had went an edge defender or if they had went with an inside linebacker because Chris Paul Jr. was there, but they did not decide to go that route. So the Bucks double down at cornerback. They take Jacob Parrish here, and you know what? They should be sitting pretty in terms of cornerback depth at this point. Maybe they take a cornerback later, maybe in like round 7, but you get a starting nickel potential guy in Jacob Parrish. You get a third outside cornerback in Benjamin Morrison Jr. Overall, that was a big need for the Bucs to address in the secondary, especially with all the different types of injuries, and they have done that here.